Okay, problem 8. So we're talking about this. We're going to figure out using the discriminant. Using the discriminant, we're going to figure out what type of solutions we have. So you do not have to actually show the solution. You're just going to use the square root part of the quadratic formula, which, there we go, which is just a b squared minus 4ac. You're just going to use that to determine what types of solutions we're going to get. So we did this one in class, so hopefully, if you're watching this, you just want to remind yourself, or maybe you're absent. So our A value is 1, our B value is 4, and our C value is 5. So I'm just going to plug it in just to this. And so I'm going to get the square root of B squared, which is 16, minus 4 times 1 times 5. I'm going to put this whole thing in the calculator, and when I do, I get 16 minus 20, which would give me a negative 4. I have a square root of a negative 4. I cannot do a square root of a negative 4 right now. We're going to learn it in Algebra 2 what we do with this, but right now we can't do anything with it. It's impossible to get a square root of a negative number. So that's why this one would be no solution. So I'm going to write no solution on here just to kind of make it easier. So this happens whenever we get a square root of a negative. All right, when I do this one, my A is 1, my B is negative 8, and my C is 16. So I'm going to do the square root of negative 8 squared, which is a positive 64, minus 4 times 1 times 16. When I put this whole thing in the calculator, I get the square root of 0. This is the one and only time that when you get the square root of 0, that means that you have one solution. That's the only way you can get one solution, is by having the square root of 0. Then I'm going to do the next one. A equals negative 3. B equals 10, C equals negative 8. Plug this all in, so it's B squared, which is 10 squared, which is 100, minus 4 times negative 3 times negative 8. I'm going to evaluate that whole thing in the calculator. This whole thing equals a square root of 4. The square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2, which is a nice perfect whole number. So whenever we get a nice number here, a perfect square answer, that means that we're going to have two rational solutions. So whenever we get a square root with a positive perfect square, we're going to get two rational solutions. All right, and because we did this in class, I'm going to skip down to this one because this is the fourth answer. So we did 2, 10, and negative 8. So I'm going to plug this in. I get 100 minus 2 times 4 times A, which is 2, times negative 8. When I evaluate this all, I get the square root of 164. 164 is not a perfect square, so I'm going to get a weird decimal like 12 point blah, 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 blah. Whenever I see this irrational answer, that means my final answers to the problem are going to be two irrational answers as well. So this is the two irrational answers. So this happens whenever we get a positive that's not a perfect square. Right, and those are the four options that you would be given on the test. That you have no solution, one solution, two rational, and two irrational.